Testing.
Sorry, I was going to say, you write some really weird scenes for yourself as a motto.
Yes.
Is that just some kind of, is that all fantasy stuff for you?
Yeah, it's my, everything that I'm experiencing emotionally happens to Otto physically. Yeah, I mean, I look. It's an opportunity to do some things that are a little bit more absurd and a little bit more fun, but that every season, just something horrendous happens to Otto, and that'll continue to happen until he's got no limbs left.
I'm a huge fan of The Shield, so I want to know what it was like having a CCH Pounder on the show this season.
It's great. I love CC. We've been we tried to get her on a couple seasons ago in a different character, and we couldn't make it work. But it's fun. It's fun watching her. Did I fuck you up here, dude? I'm sorry. She plays a very strong law enforcement character this season, and not quite as understanding and caring as Claudette was. You know what I mean? But just Cece's great, so it's fun.
Are there any Shield vets you haven't had in the show yet that you'd like to get on the show?
I got them pretty much all on.
Yeah.
The only one I can't do is Chicken.
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's just too close, and the only way I could get Walton on is if I put him in a wig.
You need to get Venus back too.
Yeah.
You need to have it.
I hope so. We're trying to have Venus back. We'll find out.
Amazing.
So I'm actually season 5 DVD release, and I hear that you have 50 deleted scenes to choose from to put on.
Say that again?
You have 50 deleted scenes to choose from to put on the DVD.
Do we really? 50? Wow.
That's what Paris said.
Paris.
But could you tease any of the ones that you're going to put on and why they didn't make the cut?
Oh, you know what, hon? I am so bad with that. Like, I never know. I will tell you that what ends up happening is that we do. The network has been great about giving us more time, so we don't have as many deleted scenes as we had the first couple seasons. Because most of the time, if it's a really important scene, they give me the time to put it in. Sometimes we won't. Sometimes deleted scenes are deleted scenes because it just didn't work. Like on the page, most of the time on the page, I'm like, and then I usually hope the actors and the directors make it work. And then sometimes they can't, so I get the scenes. I go, okay, it didn't work. So a lot of times that's what it is. But we do, we do shoot a lot of footage, and sometimes there's just not room for it all. But I never know. Like, if you asked me if a scene was in or out, unless it was a scene that was, critical to the big arc, chances are I wouldn't know. So.
I know in the very beginning of the show there was a Shakespearean element to it, a Hamlet element. Paris just said, we were talking about the end game, one more season, he said, very Shakespearean, read your Hamlet. What can you tell us how that plays into season 6?
Everybody dies in a huge puddle of blood. They're just laying on the floor with their heads cut off. I think, look, obviously, the archetypes of Hamlet are there in terms of the characters. I knew that the show itself would not, in terms of the narrative, wouldn't, sometimes sometimes there's scenes or episodes that thematically will feel that, lately it's been, it's to me it's felt more like Lear than Hamlet, I think what's happened is that we have 5 seasons now where we have a lot of big personalities and a lot of relationships and a lot of conflict, and I think as you head towards the end that ultimately, all those things begin to intersect, so it was never my plan to have this be a more violent season than the past, but as the stories were breaking and, we look up at the board and we say, okay, here's this guy, here's this, with the club, and then we had season 2 this happened, season 3 this happened, season 1, so the mythology has gotten bigger and that relationship has gotten more complicated, and I think as a result of that, you just innately ultimately have a lot more conflict that you're going in with each season. So I think it's why it gets bloodier to a certain extent, you know, from season to season. And I think that's probably what Paris is referring to in terms of the overtones being, you know, the stakes are getting bigger as you get into the third act.
What is the conflict with Jax right now? Because he's always been a man of two worlds, the club and his home life with his wife and his kids.
Right.
That all fell apart. You know, it seemed like he got his club back together at the end. Right. Things were coming together. They killed the big enemy. He maybe makes a new, you know, component with Augie.
Yes.
And then his wife gets arrested. So, how does that conflict play? I mean, does it eventually just tear him apart?
I think it just, you know, we continue on that trajectory this season with the club, and you know, it's a few days between seasons, really, in terms of time, and you know, it's really that struggle with can I lead my club to a better place, you know, get them out of guns, get them legitimate, you know, can I be a good father, can I be a good husband, and really trying to do all three of those things, and it's a difficult thing, you know, it's a difficult journey for him, and ultimately, will he be able to do what his dad tried to do? You know, and will he have the fortitude and be more successful at it than his father was? And I think that'll be part of his journey this season. You know?
There was that theme that power corrupts. That was something else Paris said. Power corrupts.
Yeah.
Can Jax survive that? The gavel corrupts was the line. But can he survive that, or is that the theme? I mean, that, you know, really it does corrupt everybody.
I think so. I think that's part of the struggle. You know what I mean? And one could argue that that's what, you know, the only way out of that would be the path of John Teller. You know what I mean? Which is basically, you know, kind of losing his mind a little bit as a result of trying to have it all. But I think that's true. I think that will continue to play out. That power does play out.
All right, guys. Sorry.
Thank you.